Hi everyone, this is Kyle Carlin, and this is my video or my presentation on tort liability. First of all, tort is basically, a tort is a civil wrong done against somebody that causes damage. So tort protections are basically if you cause damage to somebody else, then they can come after you for physical, financial, or reputational damages that you've caused. The egregious person has the burden of proof, and so they have to show that there's actual real damage caused. It's not just a matter of that you hurt their feelings, but it actually caused real loss in something financial, something physical, or something reputational. Liability is the responsibility for fixing the damage of the tort. So we have to approach that as a person that maybe caused the tort, that caused the wrong. We have to go about fixing it in a way that is consistent with the law, consistent with what is appropriate. Some of the examples that I found in the readings were Sansone and Bechtel from 1980. In this case, a music teacher used excessive discipline. He broke a kid's clavicle. Teacher was found to be liable for that damage. It wasn't on the school because it was outside of policy, outside of what was consistent in that district. From a reactive point of view, in my schools, this would have been led to administrative action against a teacher with likely dismissal. Proactively, we could establish classroom management norms, give the teachers alternatives. Also, training and appropriate use of ESIs would be effective. We have to help teachers recognize that ESIs aren't meant for discipline; it's meant for safety, and we have to make sure that people are using it appropriately. And then also professional ethics would help with this tort by establishing appropriate interactions with students. The second case that I chose was Frame versus Comio. A substitute teacher was accused of using excessive discipline by physically removing a student from class. Courts found that the teacher did not use excessive force. So in this case, it was a case brought up, but there was no excessive force. So even though it may have been inappropriate, there was no true harm done, no true damage. Again, in my school, this probably would have been investigated based on the facts that the teacher would have been taught alternatives to use, such as positive classroom management, effective use of office referrals. And then from a proactive point of view, again, going back to that classroom management, going back to the ESI trainings, those kinds of things would help with this. And then professional ethics about the appropriate interactions with students. The third one I chose was Jackson versus Cartwright School District. In this case, a woman was attending a ball game on school grounds, but it was outside of hours and it was not a school activity. She claimed the conditions of the ramp were a foreseeable or a known risk, but the courts found that the school was not negligent because the conditions were not foreseeable to cause the accident that actually did occur. It may have been in disrepair, but it wasn't in disrepair to the extent of the accident that happened. In my school, action would be taken to remove the risks of the ramp. Again, review it, make sure if it's a matter of a slip hazard, make sure we put down appropriate covers. If it was a matter of trip and fall hazard, make sure we're addressing that appropriately. Proactively, we conduct periodic safety inspections of all facilities, especially those used frequently, and if risks are identified, take reasonable steps to address them. Professional ethics in this case would compel staff to correct all deficiencies as soon as they are known. So if somebody did know about the difficulties or the problems with the facilities, hopefully it would be addressed appropriately. Okay. The next one was Gordon versus Oak Park School District. This was back in 1974. It was alleged that staff acted with malice towards siblings over a 3-year span. This included physical and emotional abuse. Courts found that evidence did not demonstrate malice. Physical discipline fit within legally provided corporal punishment, and documentation showed concern for the students, not disdain. Reactive on my part, or in my schools, these claims would have been investigated, and communication with parents would be attempted to provide clarity to the situation. Proactively would have trained staff on appropriate documentation of disciplinary actions, as this documentation served as the evidence against the claims of malice. So making sure that we're documenting things appropriately is always important. And then professional ethics would ensure staff have appropriate interactions with students and would prevent mistreatment. And then the last one I chose was Rogers versus Akron City School Systems. In this case, a teacher was alleged to have grabbed a first grader by the neck and choked him while pushing him into line. Claims of physical injury and mental distress were included in the suit. The teacher was found negligent and liable for damages. And again, because this was outside of the typical policies in the district or in the school, this teacher was negligent and not the school. If the school had known that these things have been going on, or if the policies allowed for these interactions to take place, then the school may have been held liable in addition to or instead of the teacher. From a reactive point of view, again, in my school, these claims would have been investigated and disciplinary action would have been taken against the teacher. If it was found to be negligent in this way, or even if it was just outside of our policies, it may have led to a firing proactively. Again, going back as with a lot of these and with student interactions, make sure we're training appropriate ways to correct misbehavior and establish some common area expectations, active supervision standards. And again, professional ethics would help us make sure that those interactions are more appropriate all around. All right, well, that's my presentation. I really enjoyed learning about torts and getting to read this information again. It definitely gives me something to think about. I'm going into special ed administration and thinking about what we need to do to train our staff, both of our teachers as well as our paraeducators, to make sure that they are appropriate and make sure that they aren't putting themselves or the district at risk through their interactions with students or the other things they might do. Again, I look forward to seeing everybody else's videos. Have a good day.